Set Nam. Wanted to explore an opportunity here. I don't know exactly where we're going. There's a card in this deck that was calling my attention this morning. I'm not exactly sure the message. It was the lunar masculine. I'm not going to pull the card. I'm going to shuffle through and see what comes out. And then perhaps looking at what's happening on the external layer, what could be lurking in the shadows, and then where's like that forward movement with whatever comes through. So let's see what Spirit has for us, for you. And as always, listen wisely and use your judgment, your inner compass, rather than blindly listening. So what wants to come through today? What message would serve well? What topic is on the table? That looked like the Wounded Warrior card. Perhaps expansion or growth through that. Feels relevant to the collective energies. And in time, healing and allowing those burdens to pass. Okay, let's see. Something's the same. Might not realize things are the same. The mold that you have or the perspective you have might be limited, and it might need to be explored. And it might be that conversation, it might be that book, it might be that library. There's some sort of knowledge or awareness that wants to come through. I don't know. So that you can see it for what it is. So sometimes we talk about like seeking or being that seeker, or someone's like, there that person goes again. Or at least that's what I think my family thinks. Like, she was into this for a while, I was into yoga for a while, and then massage, I was into this, that, and they're probably like, what now? What next? There she goes. But all that serves a purpose to kind of find there's some piece of information, or there's nuggets in every search. So it's like that, like not all those who wander are lost kind of feeling. But rather it's finding the way to find your own sovereignty, your own freedom, breaking that mold from what you were perceivably born into, to then shine bright for others, like being that lighthouse for others. So there is some sort of energy sparking attention, and I believe from reading over this book that this is about like shedding skin. That's like that. For me, it's when I see it, I think less of like that layer of skin shedding, but somewhere in between the Ace of Wands and like the king or queen on the throne, somewhere in between a beginning and being. Action, stillness, and the word forgiveness is coming up again. Came up the other day. So with this, let's see if they're upside down. Okay. So perhaps the layers of the shadows have been working through, and that's not leading, that time has now, like, the time has come. How can you recognize your true nature and embody that presence, and give yourself the time to explore what really needs you, like how you are really brought here. So what might have felt like this lurking shadow, right? And I was just speaking to that to someone, is that, you know, that darkness for me, and I can only speak to my experience, like entering into that place was the place to like open to the light, to open to other layers. And I say that strictly as my experience because of the subject we were speaking on. Not that I don't think that's a good practice. Like the more I ran from myself, the messier life became. But it's been quite a journey. So let's explore this shadow, and let's explore the external. I don't, for some reason, I'm not. Let's see. Can you share us a little bit more on the Shadow Queen, please? Tell us a little bit more about the Shadow Queen. It doesn't need to be this shame is disavowed. Like, the best way I can speak to this is like, and I feel like even now, like my education and knowledge of gender studies is limited, that we're opening a new platform to being, but it seemed to me when we look at, I don't even know the way to sum it up. I'm just going to say white picket fence because I don't have another word for it right now. It just seemed like everything, like a deviant from the norm, was shadow in society. And I feel like that's the place that needs to be a card released or has been released. And, you know, when you call in politics, that, and the shift from the eras that we're in now. There's a portal of transcendence. Oh, I got a lot of noise going on out there too. Sometimes I can hear boats, but it sounds like somebody's car alarm. So breaking in, breaking through then, with those sounds in mind. And I also get like that, like those wonder years that you hold to, like that, like party era, or so, not really like that party era, but that like, and I am seeing a politician in my mind, and I don't know his name, but it was when someone came out and spoke to her sexual assault and his calendar, and it was all about like the parties of the past. And that, again, I get that the idea of like deviance, like even when I think about sexual assault, it's not about what someone wore. I wasn't wearing a slinky dress. I used to wear like big baggy pants and dress like a boy, and I had a shaved head. Like, people called me sir, so it had nothing to do with the little dress. I apologize. I feel like I have more questions than answers here, but Page of Wands, learning to communicate, and not, for me, this card specifically with the Page of Wands is about like not just, I'm hearing drop, but I was going to say, for my thinking mind, like, don't just like that breadcrumbing, that like throw a bone, like that's not good enough anymore. That's not acceptable, based on my little tangent here. So what's happening in the external? So perhaps cross-culturally, it's that it's not the Shadow Queen anymore. It's a break. I'm just breaking that mold. So what's happening externally? If that's the shadow, giving birth to a new, if it's that, it's your party, you cry if you want, like, go and be yourself, sister. And that's, the writing's on the wall, and you know it's time. perhaps it wasn't as exciting as it used to be. That's just like that ego energy, like not committing to the ego and the overindulgence, almost like that devil energy. But it wasn't devil energy because perhaps like that's what's seen now or was seen through it, but that it's more of, it's really like those wonder, like it just put so much emphasis in a place that is not as important. So what are you committing to? And perhaps something through the ego has shifted that allows on the external a new cup of love, or it's time for a new cup of love. How can you offer clarity, like clear emotional insight? And it's not a simple thread, it's not a crumb, but rather a passionate new beginning between, I'm here between the sheets, but it could also, like, it could be between your own ears and your own, like, desire to put something out into the world. So let's move this off the table. So if there's something that needs to be felt and heard and understood, it's time to take that step. Okay, so the bottom deck energy I just saw is that Page of Swords. And I haven't read that book. My brother did, is that like, don't run with scissors. So be mindful of how you communicate. You know, words can cut or they can heal. What's been brewing for you? All right, so receptivity. Start from the bottom. They're saying victory, illuminating, happiness, forgiveness, balancing. Oh, this is beautiful. The Keeper of Time. That veil of illusion is lifted, and it's time to not service. That, like, that overhaul has already been, like, there's been this overhaul that now it is warranted. There is victory. There is illumination and a completion of a cycle. There is this place of happiness and rebirth. And it's seen from the heavens and felt here on earth. And those tides that once brought you down are now being honored. And so balancing yin, yang, heaven and earth, sun and moon, light and dark, good and bad, positive and negative polarities into a just sovereign way of being, and honoring what happens in the dark, honoring what happens in the light, honoring what happens between home and the workplace, honoring what happens between the two. This screams union to me, those of you who are exploring a journey of partnership. And perhaps the night is charging in to bring that through to you, and not to put up the walls, to rise above anything from the past. That it is possible to have forgiveness and understanding. It doesn't mean you're a doormat. It means that you allow communication to come in, you allow a cup of love, and you allow balance to come in. And it's all coming through for you. It does not happen to you. It's offered. And you drink from that cup if you choose. You can sip. You take your time. And it's up to you to receive, how you want to receive, and how you want to proceed. But consider that emotional balance and that whole cycle of energy on a cosmic level. And allowing that completion, allowing that light, love, and forgiveness. And as you break down those walls, there's something very beautiful coming in for you.